Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to turn tricky tech topics into something, well, clearer and more practical.
That's the goal.
Today, we're looking at some Juniper JNCIS-SEC exam questions. But honestly, this isn't just exam prep.
No, not at all.
We're aiming to unpack the real-world thinking behind how Juniper SRX devices actually secure networks. It's about the why, not just the what.
Exactly, because these Juniper features we'll talk about, they're fundamental, really critical for protecting almost any network today.
Right.
And looking at these questions, even though they come from, specific exam format, 90 minutes, 65 questions, multiple choice, it's a surprisingly good way to get at some core concepts.
That gives us a structure.
It does.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll have a few aha moments, even if you're not planning on taking the exam itself. It's about understanding network defense better.
Okay, let's jump into the first scenario then. This one gets right to the heart of controlling traffic flow. Imagine you're an admin. You need a security policy on your SRX firewall. The goal, allow only SSH traffic, and specifically only from your internal network. That's the trust zone in Juniper terms, out to the internet, the untrust zone.
A very common requirement.
So the question zeroes in on what you must configure in that policy. What's the absolutely critical piece here, according to Juniper's way of thinking?
Well, the absolute key and the right answer is the application. You have to set it specifically to Junos.
Not just TCP port 22.
No, and that's a crucial distinction. See, Juniper SRX devices have this rich database of predefined applications. Junos isn't just a label for port 22. It's like a fingerprint. It understands what real SSH traffic looks like.
Okay.
So if you just open port 22, you might inadvertently let something else through that's pretending to be SSH,
Right, trying to sneak past.
Exactly. So you need trust as the source zone, untrust is the destination, permit is the action, and Junos is the application. That's the precision.
That level of application awareness is really interesting. It's not just a gate. It's like a very discerning bouncer checking IDs very carefully.
That's a great analogy, actually.
So what's maybe a common mistake people make here? Something subtle.
A really common one is maybe using a broader application setting, or even setting the application to any, thinking it's simpler or more flexible. But the immediate result is you've opened up your network way more than you intended. You lose that granular control. You bypass the intelligence built into definitions like Junos.
And that creates vulnerabilities.
Instantly. It undermines that whole principle of least privilege. So yeah, remembering Junos is more than a port is key.
Got it. So that handles what kind of traffic gets through. But what about threats hiding inside traffic we do allow, especially encrypted traffic?
Yes. The big challenge.
Exactly. Which brings us to our next question. What are two key features of the Juniper Network's SSL proxy? This feels really important today.
Oh, it's absolutely critical. With so much web traffic being encrypted, you need a way to look inside.
So what does it do?
Well, the two core functions are, first, it decrypts SSL or TLS traffic.
Okay, opens it up.
Right. So that other security features on the SRX, like IDP or content filtering, can actually inspect the payload for threats.
Makes sense. And the second thing?
It then re-encrypts the traffic before sending it on to the actual destination server.
So it maintains the encryption overall, just takes a peek in the middle?
Precisely. It acts like an intelligent man in the middle, but for security purposes. It intercepts the HTTPS traffic, decrypts it using its own certificate.
Certificates? I sense complexity there.
You sense correctly. It inspects and then seals it back up with encryption before sending it off.
So just to clarify, it's not about encrypting stuff that was originally unencrypted, right?
Correct. It's specifically for decrypting and re-encrypting already encrypted streams, typically HTTPS.
Okay. You mentioned certificates. What are the practical headaches or maybe just realities an admin faces when deploying SSL proxy? Is it performance?
Both certificates.
Certificates. Both.
It's definitely both. Certificate management is probably the biggest operational hurdle. Well, because the SRX is inserting itself, it needs to present a certificate to the user's browser that the browser trusts.
Otherwise, you get those scary browser warnings.
Exactly. So you typically need to deploy the SRX's signing certificate, its CA certificate, to all the client machines on your network. That can be a big job.
I can imagine. And performance?
Decrypting and re-encrypting takes processing power. It's CPU intensive. SRX devices are built for it, but, if you have massive amounts of SSL traffic, it can impact latency or mean you need beefier hardware.
So it's a trade-off. You get essential visibility, but you need to plan for the certificate deployment and the potential performance load.
Absolutely. Careful planning is key for a smooth SSL proxy deployment.
Okay, that's visibility sorted. Now let's switch gears to reliability, uptime, because security is great, but useless if the network's down.
Can't argue with that.
So imagine a critical device fails. You need to know fast if your backup, your high availability partner, has taken over smoothly.
Crucial for business continuity.
Our next question is about troubleshooting an HA chassis cluster on SRX devices. What's the go-to command to check the cluster status, see who's primary, who's secondary, and if everything's okay?
The command you absolutely need is show chassis cluster status.
Show chassis cluster status.
And it gives you much more than just node 0 is primary, node 1 is secondary.
What else? What's the deeper insight?
It shows the status of the redundancy groups, the logical groups of resources that fail over together. It tells you if they failed over, maybe even why. Crucially, it also checks the health of the links between the cluster nodes.
Ah, the heartbeat links.
Exactly. The control link and the fabric link. These are vital for keeping the cluster synchronized and making failover decisions. If those links have issues, the command will often flag it.
So it's not just a status, it's a health check for the whole HA system.
Precisely. It's your first port of call to diagnose potential problems before they cause a major outage. You might see warnings about link health or redundancy group issues that aren't immediately obvious otherwise.
Like a silent failure waiting to happen.
Exactly. It helps you catch things like degraded heartbeat links, which could lead to a split-brain scenario where both nodes think they're primary, a nightmare scenario.
Okay, definitely want to avoid that. So show chassis cluster status is like the vital signs monitor for your HA pair.
A very good way to put it.
All right, we've covered rules, visibility, and reliability. Now for proactive defense, catching the bad guys before they do damage. Let's talk intrusion detection and prevention, IDP.
Okay, the active guardian.
Our fourth question asks for 2 true statements about IDP on a Juniper SRX. It sounds powerful, but how does it actually work, and what are its limits?
So IDP is indeed powerful. The 2 true statements are, 1, it can block traffic based on malicious patterns it detects.
Okay, so it's prevention, not just detection.
Right, it can actively intervene. And 2, it primarily uses a signature database to identify known attacks.
Signatures, like digital fingerprints for malware or exploits.
Yes, exactly. Juniper maintains a huge database of these signatures, constantly updated, covering known vulnerabilities, malware communication patterns, protocol anomalies, things like that. When traffic matches a signature, IDP triggers an action.
What kind of actions?
It could be just logging it, sending an alert, dropping the specific packet, blocking the entire session, or even blocking the source IP for a period. It's configurable.
You mentioned it relies on known attacks, the signature database. What about zero-day threats, the unknown unknowns?
That's the inherent limitation of purely signature-based IDP. It can't catch what it doesn't have a signature for.
So how does Juniper address that? Is IDP just one piece of a bigger puzzle?
Absolutely. IDP is a critical layer, but it's not the whole story for advanced threats. Juniper SRX platforms integrate IDP with other things.
Like what?
Like their ATP Cloud Advanced Threat Prevention. That service uses sandboxing, machine learning, behavioral analysis. Basically, techniques designed to spot malicious activity even if there's no known signature.
Ah. So IDP handles the known stuff efficiently, and other mechanisms target the novel threats.
That's the idea. It's about layered defense. IDP is fundamental, but you need those advanced capabilities layered on top for comprehensive protection against things like 0 days. Constant updates to the IDP signatures are vital too, of course.
Makes sense. A multi-layered approach. Okay, final area. Secure remote access, VPNs.
Essential for modern work.
Think about connecting from home or a coffee shop. Your IP address might change all the time. You need a secure tunnel, but you also need it to connect fast.
Speed and flexibility, yep.
So the last question asks about IKE Phase 1 modes for setting up IPsec VPNs. Which mode is faster and typically used for these dynamic VPN scenarios?
For faster connections, especially with dynamic IPs, the answer is aggressive mode.
Progressive mode. Okay, why is it faster?
It simply uses fewer message exchanges to complete the initial IKE Phase 1 negotiation. Main mode, the alternative, uses more steps, which adds a bit of time.
How many fewer?
Aggressive mode takes 3 exchanges, whereas main mode takes 6. So potentially twice as fast for that initial setup.
And why is that good for dynamic VPNs?
Because in aggressive mode, some identification information is sent earlier in the process, even before the secure channel is fully established. This helps when one side, like a remote user, might not have a static IP that the firewall already knows. It streamlines the setup for those dial-up style VPNs.
Okay, faster, more flexible for dynamic users. Sounds great, But is there a catch? A security trade-off?
There is. Because some of that identity information is exchanged earlier before full encryption is in place, it's theoretically more vulnerable to passive eavesdropping.
Meaning someone could potentially sniff out identities.
Potentially, yes. Or it could make dictionary attacks against pre-shared keys slightly easier if someone captures those initial packets. Main mode protects identities better by encrypting them earlier in its 6-step process.
So main mode is slower, but arguably more secure, especially for site-to-site VPNs where IPs are static.
Yep. Exactly. Main mode is generally preferred for site-to-site tunnels between fixed locations. Aggressive mode is often the practical choice for remote access, but you need to be aware of that slight security difference and maybe compensate with strong authentication methods like certificates instead of just pre-shared keys.
So it's about choosing the right tool or mode for the specific job and understanding the inherent characteristics.
Precisely. Speed versus security posture. It's a common balancing act in networking.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Juniper Security Essentials.
My pleasure.
We really hope you feel better equipped to understand the networks protecting you every day.